I'm getting rid of both of my Noveske rifles, and today we're going to talk about why. But before we get into it, I don't have any sponsors to thank for today's video because I want to express that these opinions are mine and mine alone, and I'm not associating them with any businesses or any companies that I work with. I do, however, have some disclaimers that I would like to talk about first, right after I throw this ball for turbo. Okay, so first disclaimer. Number one, how did I acquire these? So I bought both the 6-ARC and the switch block with my own money as a customer. There was no YouTube channel discussed or anything like that. Now, the next disclaimer is that Noveske has been very communicative, very professional, very nice, and very willing to help. However, I don't want to send this into them, and I will get into why here in a moment. So first, what are we talking about today? This is my Noveske N4 6-ARC. This is a 12.5 6mm ARC AR-15 rifle. And then I also have here my Noveske N4 switch block. This is an adjustable 3-position gas block, just regular old AR-15 from Noveske. I did a video on the switch block, also discussing a ton of the issues. I will quickly run through them, but if you want greater detail on any of the problems that I had with this thing, please refer to my previous video. The 6-ARC, I'm going to be giving kind of an update. I promised a update video on both of these guns, and the 6-ARC, I mentioned my initial problems with it, being that the takedown pins need hammered out with or without the upper receiver installed. Now, the 6-ARC, now the 6-ARC seems to be exemplifying some of the same issues that the switch block had. That's what we're going to talk about today. Where's the ball? Where's the ball? Oh, it's right there. Now, I'm going to run through the issues. I'm going to put them up on the screen from some of the videos, some of the clips that I have here. First, we'll start with the switch block. So out of the box, this thing required, like I mentioned, the takedown pins be hammered in and out, like hammered. Like I cannot get the takedown pins to come out. I'm gonna give myself a hernia. You can't get them out, nor back in, to be clear. You also need a hammer to get them back in. Not really a big deal. Not really a big problem. Is it something I'd want to see out of a $3,600 gun? No, not exactly. Now, since then, about at the, let's say, 150 or so round mark after being cleaned, whilst also being properly lubricated, the 6-ARC has a tendency to just lose its bolt release. The bolt release doesn't work. So you're boom, 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 bolt lock. You go to put a fresh mag in, you hit that bolt release, it releases tension, but the bolt does not go forward. You then have to rack the charging handle and send it forward. Again, not a huge deal, but it is a problem. That also happened on the switch block, I'm sorry. Now, recently I just filmed a YouTube short shooting all of my guns, and I shot the 6-ARC, and I started to have the same exact malfunction that I had in the switch block. Something to do with the ejector, extractor, whatever the problem was. It's starting to exemplify as I get in the higher round count with this thing, closer to what I have on the switch block here. It's starting to exemplify the same exact malfunctions that I had with this thing. So this is more or less preventative maintenance, me just getting rid of it before it becomes a problem. Now with the switch block, like I mentioned, go check out the other video if you haven't seen it yet. But to cover the basics of the issues, I had some issues with the upper receiver, the malfunction where it would bite the casing, and still seat the round and light strike, so boom, 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 click, nothing happens. You have to yank the round out of the chamber because it's bent inside of there, and you end up with a light strike and a really nasty bite on the casing from the bolt face. That was a weird one. And then on top of that, I sent this upper in to be looked at, got lost in the sauce with shipping, ended up getting it back. Nobody ever looked at it. I then gave it to a friend who took the entire gun and noted that I'll put the receipt on the screen, noted that the gas rings were blown out after about 600 rounds. So I called Noveske back when this happened, and I said, hey, I think the gas rings are blown out, and I told them the round count and everything, and they said that that was normal. So 600 rounds is normal. I'm not going to say who I spoke to. I'm not going to cover any of the details, but that speaks loudly to me to just like the build quality of it. That's not something I would expect, and that's definitely not an answer that I would expect to hear from a manufacturer. And that was, for reference, that was run on the suppressed gas setting with a Surefire RC2. If you use a low back pressure can, you cannot shoot this gun on the suppressed setting, which seemed kind of pointless in my head. So, pointless to run it on the suppressed setting, pointless to have this adjustable gas block system. So I ran it with the RC2 on the suppressed setting. It was very smooth. It didn't feel like it was super gassy or anything like that. So those are the problems with the upper receiver. In and amongst also the ejector getting stuck halfway down the bolt face. I had to sit there and mess around with it and work with lube. On top of that, with the lower, I've had several different PMags. I'll put some clips on the screen now. Several different Gen 2 PMags, which I've never had a problem with before. I have a PSA lower that I spent 150 bucks on. Never gotten a mag stuck in there, never had the bolt release not work, and I never clean that thing, and I use an FRT in it. So I just beat the hell out of it. Never had a problem. The switch block lower here, I've used in all of my suppressor testing videos, so I shoot it quite a bit. I've had mags get stuck in it to the point where I needed to set the gun down on the dirt and stand on it and then yank it out. I would consider that to be a pretty big problem. On top of that, same problem with the 6-arc, where after about 150 or so rounds, the bolt release just stops working. You go to hit the bolt release and nothing happens. These are random, these are little problems, they're goofy, they shouldn't happen in my opinion, on a gun that costs $3,700. In total, I think I have $7,000 between these guns, not including accessories. That's just genuinely not something you would want to see. Now, we've done several different things. We've tried changing buffer spring, buffer weight. I've tried different bolt carriers. I've tried different charging handles, and it doesn't seem to make a difference. So for those of you that are going to say, well, it's the stuff that you did to it that made it not run, I didn't see any disclaimers on the website or in the packaging that said, hey, you can't put a different bolt, it's an AR-15. You can't put any other AR-15 bolt carrier in it, or charging handle in it, or trigger in it, and expect it to work. So I use good quality parts. These are PRI gas buster charging handles. The bolt carriers I was using were Centurion bolt carriers. I'm using Geisley triggers, and everything else is factory, just like it was. Now to get into why I'm not sending it into Noveske. Again, to touch on this, they've been super cool. They've been very willing to help me. They do know that I have a YouTube channel. Could they be giving me special treatment? I don't know. I can't confirm. I don't think so, because you can only fake being nice so much. And I do genuinely believe that these guys are nice people and they're willing to work with people, but I'm not going to send it in to them. The reason being is the gas rings being blown out at 600 rounds and me being told that that was normal. That tells me that they have some sort of underlying problem with quality of parts or manufacturing or who they get their parts from or whatever. For example, I bought a brand new Noveske bolt. I held it in my hands next to a used Geisley bolt, and you could physically tell the difference. I didn't put them on a scale, but you could tell the difference in weight between the two of them. The Noveske was much lighter. I don't know why. Maybe they use lighter weight parts. I have no clue. But in my head, that doesn't scream durability. When you think lighter, you don't think more durable. Just take titanium suppressors, for example, over Inconel. Titanium is much lighter. It's also much less durable. So even if I did send this thing in, I do believe that they could fix it. And they would send it right back to me. But I genuinely don't believe that either of these rifles that I own currently right here, based on my experience, would last and hold up to the punishment and the shooting schedule that I have. I just don't. And for me personally, I have different reasons for keeping guns or getting rid of them. And one of which being reliability. It has to be a reliable firearm, otherwise why am I going to own it? I'm not at the point where I have safe queens or just guns that I keep up on the wall and don't use. I shoot the shit out of all my stuff. So I don't have a place in my armory right now currently for guns that don't work. They look great. I'll tell you what, Noveske can build a hell of a good looking rifle, but as far as functionality, in my experience, they've not been great. And I've been pretty disappointed given the reputation that Noveske has had, or at least I knew them to have in the industry. I thought I was buying a top quality product, and I thought I would never have an issue with it and I could depend my life on it. But I don't feel that way now. Just like the situation with Tommy built, how I had this sixth sense feeling that it was going to be a waste of time for me to send in the gun to Tom, it turns out it was. So I get that same feeling with Noveske. Nothing against them. It's just how it works. When you send something in for troubleshooting, when you bring a car to a mechanic, say, hey, it's making a weird noise, he's going to drive it, he's not going to hear the noise, and he's going to send it right back to you. And you're going to go back and forth and back and forth. I just don't have the time nor the patience to do that, especially with guns that cost as much as these do. So I'm getting rid of them. Now, on a positive note, some of you guys are going to ask me, what are you getting rid of them for? What are you going to get? Finally, I'm going to get a 308. So for the channel, you guys have been asking me to shoot cans on 308s. You guys have been asking for that kind of stuff. So I'm going to build a LMT 308. Probably a piston upper, maybe a 13.7 or whatever the other stuff is. I'm going to set it up for hog hunting as well as suppressor shooting and all that kind of stuff. And you guys will get to see that type of content. I'll do a review on it. I'm going to shoot the shit out of it. And I'm going to let you know if LMT lives up to the same reputation that I think them to have, at least. Not a super exciting video for you guys today. If you got a Noveske and you got 10, 20, 100,000 rounds through it and it works just fine, I'm happy for you. That's great. I just didn't have the same experience. So here I am sharing my experience. That's all I'm here to do at the end of the day. That's all I got for you guys today. I just wanted to give you guys a quick summary, a part 2 of the Six Arc and a part 2 of the Switch Block, and let you know I'm getting rid of them. And I probably won't be buying any more Noveskes, at least on my channel. If Noveske reaches out and they want to send me a gun to, do a burn down on, and beat it up and see what happens, I'll happily oblige. But I'm not going to spend my own personal money on anything Noveske in the future. No harm, no foul, man. It is what it is. I am very disappointed, but I'm not trying to shit on them. I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying I had a bad experience, and based on my experience, the guns don't seem to hold up to what I thought they would. So that's all I got for you guys today. I'm gonna go throw the ball for Turbo. Let me know if you got any questions in the comments below. I wasn't trying to make this a super long, lengthy video, but I get to yapping and this is what happens. So that's all I got for you guys today. So catch me on the next one. Come on, drop it. Okay, fine. I guess he doesn't want to play.